We're always told to watch our competitors, right? To analyze their every move. But what if all of that is just a massive distraction from the work that really matters? What if your biggest, most dangerous rival isn't who you think it is? That's exactly what we're going to dig into today.
So let me ask you this. As an entrepreneur, who is your real number one competitor? I mean, the one person or company that can actually make or break your success. Is it that big player in the market? Or maybe that flashy new startup that just got funded?
Nope. It's the one looking back at you in the mirror. See, the real battle for your success isn't fought out there in the marketplace. It's an internal war against your own self-doubt, your own limiting beliefs, and your own fears. And honestly, winning that war is the single most important thing you can do for your business.
Okay, so first let's just bust this competitor myth wide open. It's this idea that your main job is to constantly be better than the business next door. But what if you're fighting the wrong war entirely? What if looking over your shoulder is the very thing that's holding you back?
And this leads us right into something called the comparison trap. This is a huge one. It's literally a modern-day paralysis. You scroll through social media, you see a competitor's perfectly polished highlight reel, and bam, suddenly your own journey feels like it's not enough. This isn't just bad for your morale. It's dangerous. It makes you trade your goals for theirs, and that's a game you just can't win.
And here's the uncomfortable truth. Obsessing over your competitors, a lot of the time, it's just a really clever, sophisticated form of procrastination. I mean, it feels productive, doesn't it? You tell yourself you're doing market research, but really it's an excuse to avoid the harder, scarier work of innovating, of facing your own weaknesses and building something truly original.
All right, so if the rival down the street is just a distraction, who's the real adversary? Well, in this next part, we're going to unmask that inner foe. These are the saboteurs that know all your deepest fears because, well, they live inside your head.
So meet the unholy trinity: fear, doubt, and procrastination. Fear is that little voice that whispers, "What if you fail?" and just keeps you frozen in place. Then doubt chimes in, the voice of imposter syndrome, telling you you're not good enough. And procrastination, that's the silent killer of dreams, and it's born from the first two. Here's the kicker: they work together. They create this vicious feedback loop that can stop you dead in your tracks.
And look, this is not some fringe feeling that only a few people have. Take a look at this number, 75%. A study from KPMG found that's the percentage of female executives who have experienced imposter syndrome. So self-doubt isn't just common, it's pervasive, even at the very top. It's a universal part of this internal battle.
So where does this trinity want to keep you? Right here, in your comfort zone. I absolutely love this quote. The comfort zone is a golden cage. It keeps you safe, but it also prevents you from flying. For an entrepreneur, that cage is the most deceptive barrier there is, because every ounce of real growth and innovation happens just on the other side of those bars.
Okay, so we've identified the enemy within. Now what? How do you actually fight back? Let's get practical. It's time to talk about building your inner arsenal with some real strategies for self-mastery.
Everything, and I mean everything, starts with this critical mindset shift, which was so brilliantly laid out by Dr. Carol Dweck. You're either operating from a fixed mindset, where you think your abilities are set in stone and you avoid challenges, or a growth mindset, where you believe your abilities can be developed and you actually see challenges as opportunities. Shifting to a growth mindset is basically like upgrading your entire entrepreneurial operating system.
And a growth mindset leads to a totally new way of operating, summed up perfectly by Reid Hoffman, the co-founder of LinkedIn. He said, if you are not embarrassed by the first version of your product, you've launched too late. This is the anthem for taking action over chasing perfection. But how do you actually do that?
So, how do you take imperfect action? Well, it's not just a vague idea, it's a system. First, just identify the next smallest step. Make it so tiny you can't say no. Second, use the 2-minute rule. If something takes less than 2 minutes, just do it now. It builds momentum. Third, set real deadlines and commit to them. Fourth, focus on progress, not perfection. Done is better than perfect. And finally, you learn by doing. Use that build, measure, learn loop. This framework is your secret weapon against paralysis.
So what happens when you actually commit to these strategies and you start to win that internal war? Well, the reward is huge. Let's talk about the Victor's True Prize, unlocking truly unstoppable growth.
This table just lays it all out so clearly. Look at the difference. When you focus on external competition, your energy is outward and reactive. The outcome is often just imitation and a whole lot of stress. But when you focus on winning the internal competition, your energy becomes inward and proactive. The outcome? Real innovation, resilience. And look at that last row, control. You have high control over your inner world. So, which game would you rather be playing?
But, does this stuff actually work in the real world? Absolutely. Let's look at a quick case study of someone we'll call Sarah, who took that leap of faith.
So Sarah was this incredibly talented designer, but she was trapped by imposter syndrome and a deep fear of financial failure. Her symptom? She was spending over 15 hours a week just analyzing her rivals, completely stuck in procrastination. But then she made the shift. She stopped looking out and started looking in. She confronted her fears and took imperfect action. She launched a minimum viable version of her branding agency.
And the results? They were absolutely stunning. Her actual revenue in the first 6 months hit $45,000, totally crushing her own fear-based projection by 50%. And by her second year, $160,000 in revenue. The growth wasn't just on a spreadsheet. She proved that inner critic dead wrong.
And that right there is the real prize. When you win the inner war, you get to define what success looks like on your own terms. It's not about beating somebody else, it's about building a business that's a true reflection of your own vision. That's where resilience and real fulfillment come from.
So let's bring it all home. All those countless hours you could spend dissecting what your competitors are doing, it's a distraction from the main event. The real defining battle is internal. Once you master your own fear, your own doubt, and your own tendency to procrastinate, you become truly unstoppable in any market.
The greatest battle you will ever fight as an entrepreneur is the one inside you. So the only question left is, are you ready to win?